Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Women's Volleyball Edition. And my guest for this week's show is none other than Senior Defensive Specialist on the women's volleyball team here at Menlo College, Brooke Burgos. Brooke, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better now. Before you came to Menlo, you spent time at West Valley College, and you played both indoor and sand volleyball over there. Is there a significant difference between the two? And if there is, do you prefer one or the other?
Well, obviously, like, as everyone knows, it's like indoor is like the wood and then outdoor is the sand. Yeah. So it's very different. There's 2 players for sand and then 6 players in indoor. And it's just like it's very different. Like when I played sand, it was very tiring and just a lot of moving. I realized when I played sand, I started to get these like muscles in my legs that I never thought I had, which is kind of weird. I was like, oh, cool. And then like fall started and I'd get back into indoor and then I would just be like jumping out of the gym and I just feel like I was just moving so much faster and it like improved my game a lot.
So sand really does make you work harder than indoor volleyball to an extent.
Yes, to an extent, because indoor you still have to work as much as you work as in stand.
Your lower half is just constantly getting worked.
You start getting other muscles in your legs that you didn't know you had, so yeah. Incredible.
Now, your role is a defensive specialist, and that's something that not a lot of teams seem to really have, at least in namesake. When you look at the rosters, it's, your typical positions, your middle blockers, your outside hitters, your liberos, and your setters. How unique is your role to this team?
I mean, it's pretty unique because, like, we don't hit, we're not front row, we basically just serve, pass and play defense, and we just try to keep the ball off the ground for our hitters and setters. So it's just basically if you're a really good passer, you could be a defensive specialist.
It's in the name, literally, and that's what you do very well. Now let's talk about the team here a little bit. Last week was absolutely massive for the Oaks. You went down to Southern California and you sweep 3 games on the road. Being that it's the first road trip of the year, how great does it feel to go down there and come out of it with a perfect mark?
Honestly, we all felt so good going into it, playing St. Catherine first and then San Diego Christian second, and then going into the biggest game, Vanguard, which is number 13. So it was like so much fun, and I think we just had so much confidence and we were so ready for those games and it came out our way. So. And
you said it with that Vanguard match, it was incredible. Down 2-0 again, like it's been so many times before this season, and you come back to win in 5 sets. What is it about this team that allows you to make up those 2-0 deficits? Because you've now done it twice to win and then another time to force a 5th set.
Yeah, I mean, we like to make things a little interesting, but I think after that second set we lost, we came in together, we talked, and we said, we have nothing to lose. So why not play our hearts out and work to get these next 3 wins? And so we came out and we did it, and it was awesome. And we were so happy. It was like such a big win for us because we haven't beaten Vanguard in such a long time, and it was just an incredible experience. 2014,
the last time the Oaks beat Vanguard and a ranked team, which also happened to be Vanguard in 2014 when that happened. And the latest rankings just came out. Vanguard dropped down to number 21, so you knocked them 8 spots down with that victory. Conference right now is totally up in the air. 8 of the 10 teams are separated within just 2 games of each other or less. Do you guys have the confidence right now that you can beat anybody from Vanguard to Westmont to Masters?
We like beating Vanguard. I think it boosted up our confidence a little bit more, but I think like we talked after our game saying like, we still have to stay humble. We still have to work as hard as everyone else and keep doing what we're doing, and we're going to have the same results like beating Vanguard.
You're going to get tested again this week. You're back at home. 2 Arizona schools coming to town, Ottawa and Arizona Christian. Ottawa is new to the conference this year, so my question is, how do you go about preparing for 2 matches on the week, both in conference, when one of them is a new school and another one is a regular opponent?
I mean, we know what the other school can do, but having Ottawa into our conference, we're all excited to have a new team, and we want to see what they can bring to the table, and maybe it'll mix things up because they just beat Hope last week. So we don't really know what they're going to bring to the table, but we're excited to see what happens this weekend.
It's a good point that you bring up Ottawa beating Hope, because right now, like I said, everyone is still in it competitively. I mean, Westmont fell in straight sets to the Masters. So the Masters right now the only undefeated team in the conference. Ottawa's right there with Hope at 2-2. I think Jessup is 2-2 also. Everyone is right there in the mix. All right, Brooke, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 off-the-wall questions. Give me your best answers.
Okay.
Question number 1. Which teammate can build the tallest sandcastle?
Probably Sierra, because whenever we're doing like games or something, like off the court, she's very competitive and just wants to win. So I think she would probably build the tallest one because she's just Sierra and she just wants to win everything we play. And so definitely Sierra.
It also helps that she's basically from a beach.
Yeah.
So
she probably has the skills already.
Exactly. She's probably been doing it since she was like 2 years old.
Yeah, probably. I could see that.
Do you think you could compete with her?
No, probably not. She's pretty good at winning games and very competitive, and I'm competitive, but I don't have that like competitive edge like Sierra does.
Yeah, it's on a whole nother level.
Oh yeah,
with her.
she's on a whole nother level.
Question number 2, which teammate is most likely to get tangled up in seaweed?
Well, so Janae, I was gonna say Janae, but then she doesn't like water.
Okay.
But I feel like that would happen to her even though she's not a water person. But then again, I think Maggie McDonald, because she's just, that's something that would happen to her.
Tall, lanky. And on the other side, you have Janae, who is short. Yeah. So you're going both ends of the spectrum here.
Yeah, honestly, I'd have to say Maggie, though, because she's just something that would happen to her. She has some weird stuff that happens to her recently, so.
And she's a Bieber fan.
Yeah.
Are you a Justin Bieber fan?
No.
Good,
I
good
did
answer.
go to one concert, but that was it.
Okay, I'll accept that. That's a good enough answer for me. Sorry, Maggie. And then question number 3, which teammate comes most prepared for a beach picnic?
Probably Jaden, because she is so organized, always has everything you need. Like, I lived with her in the hotel this weekend, and everything I needed that you don't think she would have, she would have.
I love that she's been the answer for so many of these questions this year, because it all stems from the very first episode when Maggie was on, and she started talking about pens and pencils and how Jaden has the pouch.
Jaden
and
has
every
everything.
single week since then, she has been mentioned something that relates back to that. It's absolutely incredible.
She honestly has everything you could ever imagine, like in her backpack or whatever. Or she's looking stuff off the internet, like trying to find something else she needs.
So would you say she's taken over the mama bear role that Bailey Gomez had before?
Yeah, I think she definitely taken on the role that Bailey has. Luckily we still have Bailey, so anything, she's still the mama bear, but Jaden is definitely the little cub taking after it.
Well said, little cub. I was wondering how you were gonna go about that answer, but that was well said.
Thank you.
Brooke, thank you for joining me on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, folks. The women's volleyball team, they are at home all week here, and they'll be live on the Menlo College Sports Network if you can't make it out to Haynes Prim Pavilion. Friday night, the Oaks take on Ottawa University at Arizona starting at 7 o'clock with the first serve inside Haynes Prim. And then on Saturday afternoon, the Oaks take on Arizona Christian starting at 2 o'clock p.m. We invite you to tune into next week's episode of Unrooted Women's Volleyball Edition when Brooke Burgos will select the next interviewee by me, Brian Brownfield, right here on the show. Until then, we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
Havana, ooh, nah, nah. Hey.